Hello and welcome to Reads. That's short for really exciting and delightful stories. I'm your host, Nahjee Grant, and I'm a children's author. On this show, we explore children's stories and authors like you. As a matter of fact, you can appear on this show with me and read your story. Between kindergarten to 5th grade, you can create one original short story and send it to us to lmtv@lowermerion.org. You could be on TV with me and read your story to everyone. Doesn't that sound exciting? Speaking of stories, I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Vivian Goldberg, and she wrote and illustrated her own story and sent it in to us. And out of all the stories we got, we selected hers. So we want to welcome Vivian Goldberg, 3rd grader from Chestnut Wold Elementary School. So how are you today, Vivian?
Good.
Very good, very good. So tell me a little bit about your story titled The Land of the Puffles.
Well, I made up a name called the Puffles, and I heard this movie. I watched this movie about a magical land, so I wanted to make up my own magical land, so I just made this one.
Very cool, very cool. How long did it take you to do the story?
Probably about a month.
About a month?
Mm.
The Puffles. Well, when I saw the title, I was immediately amazed, even by your imagination, even with the title. And then when I read it, I was very, very excited. And you were chosen as one of the winners for our first short story contest. So just tell me just a little bit about yourself for a sec. So I asked you before we started, what is your favorite subject in school?
Writing.
Writing. Right. So do you have an interest in writing when you get older, be an author?
I think so.
You think so? I think you're well on your way. So we're going to take the moment now for you to read The Land of the Puffles and share with the whole world your wonderful story.
The Land of the Puffles by Vivian Goldberg. I've heard stories about a door that led to magical places. People who went through the door and looked at the rainbow sun turned into magical creatures. There was a queen who was jealous of the magical creatures. She wanted all the magic to herself, but I never believed in those ridiculous stories. One day I was walking home from school when I found a door hidden in a willow tree. I went through the door and looked up and saw a fairy tale forest with magical creatures. I was shocked. Those stories were actually true. I couldn't believe it. Suddenly I heard someone yelling help. I ran to the forest and saw an odd creature. I was scared and wasn't sure what it was. It was big and pink and extremely fuzzy. It looked like a cross between a bunny and a cat, but it also had wings as big as elephant's ears and a tail like a lemur. It looked very magical. What's wrong? I asked. The evil queen of our land is trying to steal our magical powers. The queen is evil and wants all the magic. I looked at the creature. Who are you? I asked. I'm a Puffle, she said. My name is Luna. I looked at the rainbow sun. It looked like candy in the sky. It looked beautiful. My jaw dropped. Then I turned into a Puffle like Luna. You have magical powers too, declared Luna. Of course, I said, but I wasn't too sure. You have to stop the evil queen. I hesitated. I will try, I answered. My adventures with Luna was challenging. We saw a massive pink lake. How will I cross? I asked. This way, under the water, Luna said. We crept into a big, dark, dirty cave. It smelled like trash. Disgusting, I said. We walked further in. Sitting on a pile of mud, there was a ginormous lake monster. We screamed, but Luna had brought swords. Charge, Luna said. I ran in the opposite direction. No, Luna exclaimed. Run at the monster. Arg, I yelled. I closed my eyes and charged right at the monster with my sword. Hooray, Luna said. You killed it. I did? I asked. Yes, now I have to get in the castle past the guards. We went into the castle. How will I get the magic? I asked Luna. You'll have to destroy the big white crystal. That is where the evil queen stores her magical powers. I was scared, though. I didn't think I could do it alone. I needed help. I needed more Puffles. What would I do with just Luna? I looked at the castle guards. They were not furry and cute like Luna. They looked mean and angry. They yelled, "Go away or we'll hurt you." Run in between their legs, Luna shouted. I closed my eyes and just barely slid into the castle. But Luna was still out there. What should I do? Should I get my friend or get in the castle? Without thinking, I ran through the guard's legs and yanked Luna through. She barely made it. We slammed the door shut. We worked hard using our magic to pull a piano in front of the door. We were safe. We darted down the hall and into a room with lots of lasers. We knew we had to be in the room where the crystal was stored. The queen was in there staring at us. She attacked. Luna signaled. An army of cool puffles like Luna came to save the day. There were probably about 1,000 of them. Charge, Luna said. Every single puffle charged at the queen. I joined in. I was stunned that Luna would do that for me. Wow, I said, but I wasn't sure we were going to win. The queen had brought every single guard, and there were probably thousands of guards. The fight had moved out of the castle and into the woods like I planned. I was frightened. Luna and I snuck back to the room where the crystal was, but there were bunches of lasers in there. We had to avoid everyone, but I stumbled over my shoelace and set one off. Guards came running in at every direction. Luna grabbed the case the crystal was in. She darted down the hall into the ballroom. A guard pushed her. The case flew into the air. Catch it, I yelled. Luna caught it and smacked the case on the ground. It shattered into millions of pieces. No, the guards yelled. Yes, shouted Luna and me. Yay for Luna, I said. Magic started spurting out from the floor. All the creatures got their magic. All the creatures were happy. All hail Luna, the creatures shouted. Then the littlest creature went up to the queen and said in a tiny voice, Would you like some magic too? The littlest one had shared magic with the queen. The queen was so grateful of her offer. Yes, 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 she yelled. I would be so honored to have magic again. Yay for Luna. Then Luna took me to her house. It was a mushroom. It was very cute. Luna was my best friend. We were a great team. I wish I could play with Luna and my friends every day, but I had to get home. Dinner was almost ready. You should stay here, Luna begged. I hesitated. I thought about all the adventures we could have and all the friends I could make there. But I thought about my normal life where I had a school and a dinner and a family. I told Luna I would visit every single day I could. Luna said she would come to my land sometimes. I thought it was a good idea. I couldn't wait to tell my friends the story. I'm sure they would never believe it until I brought Luna. I told Luna I was a little scared I would be a puffle forever. Luna said, Don't worry, you just have to look to the earth's sun to be a human again. I went through the door into the willow tree, out of the willow tree. I looked at the sun, and then I became my beautiful self. I didn't have a tail, and I didn't have big wings. I wasn't pink and fuzzy. I was safe. Mom, those stories are true. I saw the Did you see the rainbow sun? I turned into a puffle. You're ridiculous, my mom said. It's true, I said. I think you have too much imagination. 30 years later, my daughter also found the magical land in the willow tree. She too found the land of the puffle.
All done?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. It was a great story. I enjoyed reading it, and it was very creative, very imaginative, and very, very well written. And I thank you for submitting the story. So not only do you have a chance to come on the show with me today, we'll also be sending you a gift card to Barnes & Nobles for the holidays, so you can pick out a nice book for yourself as well. All right. So thank you for coming on. And we have another short story contest at the beginning of next year, and you're welcome to submit again and hopefully be able to come on with us again. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a superstar in the making. So thank you to Vivian for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we got to take a break, but when we come back, we'll read another story and tell you more about how you can be on TV and read your story that you wrote, just like Vivian. Don't go away. Hello, and welcome back to Reads. That's short for really exciting and delightful stories. I'm your host, Nahjee Grant, and I'm a children's author. On this show, we explore children's stories and authors. In the first part of the show, we read The Land of the Puffles by Vivian Goldberg. Now, I would like to read to you another story called The Amazing Show by Ava Lyle from Mrs. Smith's class, 5th grade class at Schwenksville Elementary. The Amazing Show, written by Ava Lyle. There was once a girl named Belle who had a good voice, but no one knew it. Everyone thought Belle was hideous, ungrateful, and acted as if Belle was invisible. Belle was a 10-year-old girl in 4th grade. She had brown hair and beautiful, smooth skin. When Belle was 5, her mom and dad passed away. So Belle went to live with her neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Rose. When Belle was little, she was taught to do chores, and Belle still does chores now. It was fall and almost dawn, and Belle was outside raking leaves. Belle had just finished when Mrs. Rose called, "Time for dinner!" So Belle put the rake away in the shed and went inside. She washed her hands and sat down at the dinner table. For dinner that night, they had mac and cheese and chicken tenders. When they were done eating, it was 6 o'clock sharp. Belle was washing off the shiny gold glass plates when she heard the washer go off. When Belle was done washing plates, she climbed up the beautiful carpeted stairs and put the wash in the dryer. She got another load of wash and put it in the washer. After she started the washer and dryer, Belle went back downstairs, and there she found Mr. and Mrs. Rose watching TV on the plaid couch. Belle decided to leave them alone to watch TV with each other. Belle went upstairs to her room and played on her iPhone. Then Belle remembered she had a math test tomorrow. So Belle studied and studied until she was called downstairs for dessert. For dessert, that nice cool fall night, they had pumpkin pie. Belle thought the pie was delicious. After Belle finished her pie, she went back to doing her homework. At 8:30, Belle finished her homework, brushed her teeth, and went to bed. The following day, Belle went to school. When Belle was on her way to her pre-algebra class, she saw a poster that read, "Big show, October 22nd, and auditions October 3rd. Belle thought, maybe I will audition, but I need to decide soon because auditions are tomorrow. During her math class, she was working on a test. Belle was the first person to finish, like always. After her math class, she had reading, chorus, science, then lunch. Belle was always hungry by lunch because it was at 1 o'clock. At lunch, Belle finished her lunch before her next class. Belle decided, I will throw out my trash now and get my books. So I'm ready for the rest of my classes. While she was throwing out her lunch, someone ran up to her and gave her a note and left. Belle read the note a couple of times, and the note said, "You better not audition for the show." At that moment, Belle dropped her tray, dashed out the cafeteria, blinking back tears, and she ran down the hallway to her locker. When she opened her locker, there were other notes that said, "You will have bad luck if you audition for the show." Belle felt like she was going to burst into tears at any minute, but Belle stayed strong. Belle went to the rest of her classes. Finally, school ended and Belle went home. An hour later, Belle finished her homework and had Mr. Rose check it out. Mr. Rose was quiet for a minute. Belle was nervous she got it wrong. But then, Mr. Rose shouted, "Perfect!" Belle then took a breath and replied, "Thank you, Mrs. Rose." Mr. Rose replied, "Anytime." Then Mr. Rose calmly got up and went into the living room. Belle put her homework away and went upstairs to her room. Belle sat down on her bed and thought, should I? Before she had time to complete her thought, the washer went off. Belle got off her comfy bed and switched the wash. After she started the wash, she went back to her room and sat on the comfy cheetah bed. All of a sudden, a thought popped up in her head about the show. Belle realized Who cares about those stupid notes? I'm going to audition anyway, even if I get bullied. At 7:30 that night, Belle was called downstairs for dessert. That night they had leftover pumpkin pie. It was not as delicious as the night before, though. Then an hour went by and Belle went to sleep. At 6 o'clock that morning, Belle went outside. That morning the sunrise was beautiful. Belle watched from the hill that was fresh and cut. A while later, Belle went inside, sat on the plaid couch, and watched TV. Belle thought to herself, I am confident, and I will audition for this show for sure. That morning, Mrs. Rose came downstairs and asked Belle what she wanted for breakfast and told her to get dressed. Belle responded, Can I have a chocolate chip pancakes, please? Mrs. Rose replied, Sure. Why not? When Belle was done picking out her outfit, which was a dress with pink background with blue flowers, Belle just got downstairs when Mrs. Rose called, Belle, your breakfast is ready. Belle just got downstairs when Mrs. Rose called her. Belle then thanked Mrs. Rose for making breakfast. Before Belle left, she also stated, I have a reading test tomorrow, and I'm staying after school to study until 7 o'clock. Mrs. Rose said, Okay. When Belle got on the bus, she thought, I am surprised that Mrs. Rose believed me and I can audition for the show now. When Belle was at school, it seemed to fly by because she could not wait to try out for the show. At the end of the day, Belle skipped down the hall to the auditorium. Belle waited in line. Suddenly, she thought, what am I going to sing? Belle knew the song Fight Song by heart, so she decided to sing that song. An half hour later, it was Belle's turn. She sang Fight Song, and all the judges gave her a 10. Belle got a 30 out of 30. All the judges came up to her and said, You have the voice of an angel. That made Belle feel warm inside. Belle went and sat in a comfy red folding chair. Belle waited for everyone else to finish their act. Half hour later, everyone finished their act, and the judges announced, and the top finalists are Belle Rose, Lily Soul, and Elizabeth Holly. By the time the auditions were done, it was 6:30. Belle walked home. She actually did not have a reading test tomorrow. It was just an excuse so she could audition for the show. By the time she got to her beautiful townhouse after walking a mile from school, there was a glass plate with a cheesesteak and fries on the table. And Belle heated them up in the microwave. An hour later, she was done eating and went to bed. When she woke up that morning, Mrs. Rose was not awake, which was unusual because it was 7:30. So Belle decided to heat up the rest of the pancakes from the other day and got dressed and went to school. On the way to school, Belle thought, I wonder if Mr. and Mrs. Rose were just really tired today. An hour later, Belle was at school and walking to pre-algebra when someone ran up to her and tripped her. Belle got back up and saw someone standing next to her and realized it was Luke from her math class. Luke introduced himself and asked, Did you sing Fight Song last night? Belle replied, Yes, I did. Why? Luke slowly answered, You have the voice of an angel and are perfect at anything, sweetheart. Belle blushed. Did you just call me sweetheart? Luke shyly answered, Yes, I did. Belle commented, Well, thank you, Luke. Now you better get to math. Luke responded, Let's go. After math class, they said bye to each other, and the day went on as usual. 18 days later, it was October 2nd, and time for the big show. Belle had been practicing singing Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. That day, she got her math test back and practicing singing bad. Oop. That day, she got her math test back and got an A and got an A plus on her course. After math class, she was called down to the office and was told that Mr. and Mrs. Rose were very sick and in the hospital. Belle was worried. At the end of the day, she was called to the auditorium. Belle was up first and sang, then Lily, then Elizabeth. At the end, the three were called on stage. The judges announced, and the winner is Belle Rose. Belle was handed a gift card worth $3 million. When Belle got home, the phone was ringing. Belle answered the phone and someone said, "Is this Belle Rose?" Belle answered back, "Yes, who's this?" The person answered, "I'm a doctor from the hospital and I called to tell you Mr. and Mrs. Rose died." Belle started crying and was sad to speak. Belle then commented, "That is so disappointing. I cannot believe it." The doctor replied, "I know how you feel. I hope you feel better soon." Belle replied back, "Thanks, bye." A week passed. During the week, Belle went to a funeral and continued with life. 20 years later, Belle got married to Luke and had kids, 2 girls. They all lived a happy life in New York, and that's the end of the story. And that was The Amazing Show, written by Ava Lyle, from Jessica Smith's 5th grade class from Schwenksville Elementary School. And as a winner, she not only got to have her story read on the show, she'll also get a gift card to Barnes & Noble's during the holidays. So thank you for submitting your story, Ava, and we look forward to more of your stories in the future. So remember to send your stories to lmtv@lowellmerion.org. You could be on TV with me and read your story to everyone. Doesn't that sound exciting? Until next time, keep writing and reading real exciting and delightful stories.